Is this thing on?
I'm sure I plugged it in. Is that plugged in over there?
Andy, is this thing on?
Checking. 1, 2.
Is this thing on?
Check. I have phantom power.
This song always makes Andy cry.
Oh, here we go.
Welcome to Chicks with Gear, the podcast where 3 lifelong friends get together to play some music, drink some coffee, talk about gear in our quest for the most perfect acoustic sound on stage. I'm Deb.
I'm Julie.
I'm Andy.
Who's not a chick. No, he's not. He's our resident gearhead, the fabulous Andy Mose. Andy.
Julie.
Hey, who do we have with us today? Very
Man.
excited.
I can't believe it. We got Bill Lloyd, fabulous songwriter,
come on.
artist, sideman to the stars,
Yes.
lots more.
Member of Foster Lloyd, which we love very much.
Thank you.
Sky Kings.
Yeah, that was, that happened.
That's some big stuff.
That was another one.
So you've had a big career.
Well, I've had a very lucky career. I came to Nashville at the end of '82, and within a few years, I had a publishing deal.
Wow.
And that kind of led to working with other songwriters at Mary Tyler Moore Music, MTM Music was the publisher.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I met.
Yes.
And that's where I met Radney Foster, and that's where I met Beth Nielsen Chapman.
Oh, wow.
2 people that are still in my life, and luckily, and we're all still alive and around, and happy to be here today.
And still making music.
Yeah, lucky thing.
Yeah, that is really lucky. So you moved here from Texas, is that right?
No, you know what? I was actually born in Texas, but I moved here from Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is just up the road, up the road from Nashville.
Where all the Corvettes are.
Yes, where the Corvette Museum had a cave in, and
That's right.
remember that?
Yeah, and all the cars.
Gosh.
Home of the Bowling Green Massacre, which was a weird thing. That was a weird thing that happened about 10 years ago.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
It was it's nothing really. It was reported as being some sort of terrorist plot when it was not that.
Oh.
Anyway, sorry, gosh, I really went off.
Oh, wait a minute.
Anyway, but Bowling Green has a lot of great musicians from there. Sam Bush is from the Bowling Green area, from Newgrass Revival, and it was really through that proximity of Sam being around there. That's how I met our pal John Cowan.
Yeah.
Way back in Bowling Green days. But I had bands up there, and I went to college up there, high school college, and then moved to New York first in 1980.
Wow.
And stayed a few months, got to record in the famed Power Station studio, which was exciting, and recorded some stuff, and came back, did some independent records, and then when that band broke up, I moved to Nashville.
Wow.
And so, but the idea was to write songs and get involved in bands and stuff, and that's what I did.
Well-
So of all the things you do and have done, is there one thing that you're like, this is my favorite thing to do?
Well, I like making my own little records, which I still do. I have can I plug my website?
Yes, please.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Well,
do.
if you go to billlloydmusic.net, that's 4 L's in a row, by the way. BILLLOYD. And I still make these records on my own, and and there's streaming, of course, which is what everybody does these days. But if you like physical product, it's there.
that's great.
Wow.
And there's videos and there's all kinds of stuff. So, but I still like doing that. I like writing songs, but I like doing a lot of different things. I have these days, the Long Players, which is a band here locally.
Yes. We need applause.
Yeah.
We just had 20-year anniversary.
That's
this
amazing.
last year.
Wow.
That's
And the idea was for a bunch of us to get together to play music we loved and to celebrate the idea of albums.
Yeah.
Because
Wow, right.
so we're not really a tribute band to any one sort of group or genre or anything like that. It's like we kind of skip around. And over the course of the last 20 years, we've done about 70 albums, I guess, over the and as well as a bunch of theme nights. So we kind of broke the concept up and
Love that.
started doing like, the sounds of Laurel Canyon or the sounds of New York, and it covers everything from mellow, California pop to punk rock in New York City, that kind of thing. And we've been really just enjoying doing that for years. And it's kind of a community thing. There's been a charity aspect to it as well. So.
When you do the album, do you do it in album order?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Really cool.
Yeah, we learn the songs. I'm the one who's sort of in charge of getting people to come in and be the guest singers, and we do the album in sequence, and then we take a little break, and then we come back and do more songs from that artist, just so people don't feel like they had 40 minutes of music and then gone.
What's a couple of your favorite ones you've done? I know that's tough.
That is tough because, my favorites is when I can kind of cajole somebody who was on the original record to come and play with us. So we did Birds, Sweethearts, the rodeo out in Colorado with Chris Hillman and the Birds. And we did, and when we did it here in Nashville, Amy Lou came out.
Oh, wow.
And then when, let's see, we've done, we just did Cheap Trick's Budokan album with Tom. He played bass with us all night. And we've done Dylan records with Al Cooper. He came, and that was when he was still traveling, and he would come down. So I don't know. There's just been a lot of them.
That's
over the
great.
years.
Who are all the people in the Long Players?
Well, there's sort of three of us that have maintained since the beginning, and that's the other guitar player, Steve Allen, who was in a rock band called 2020. They just made their first record in many years, and then the drummer is Steve Eby, who's from Memphis, and he was in a band called Human Radio, and they were on Columbia back when. And then our original bass player was Gary Talent from the E Street Band. Yeah. But Gary got busy playing in the E Street Band. So
Go figure.
Go figure how that happened. It was certain to happen sooner or later. He still comes back and plays with us from time to time. But Brad Jones, who's a great record producer and just good music, all-around music guy, is our bass player. And then the keyboard spot has been sort of floating for many years now. Started with a fellow named John Dedrick, who's great, but he kind of retired from it all and
moved to Hendersonville. No, just kidding.
Yeah. So anyway, we just had a floating position on keys, and a guy named Jim Hoke does a lot of our horns and stuff, and steel. He plays steel as well as horns.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't know that.
He's sort of an adjunct member as well. And a guy named Paul Snyder is a percussionist who we use on a lot of records. So there's like sort of three of us that are the core from the old days, and then it kind of expands from there.
Well,
so I'm a talkative fellow.
No, we like it. No, this is fabulous.
we want you to talk.
I know.
Your stories.
I want to hear a little bit more about Radney Foster, because that's how I first knew of you.
Okay.
And loved the music, and we were kind of talking in the kitchen about really it was a fresh, something different and not mainstream, which we love.
Well, thank you. It was we had a bunch of songs that we had demoed up, and in a way, the way we worked the demos, we weren't really trying to do what everybody else was doing. We just kind of do what felt natural. And Radney's got this great honking country voice, that has a lot of power, and he's a good songwriter. And my trip was more melodic, kind of Beatley, pop kind of sensibility, and
well, it worked.
well, thanks.
Yes.
And so you mix these things together, the variety of influences, and it didn't really sound like anybody else at the time.
No, and your voices blended beautifully
Well,
together.
thanks. I was lucky that I'd been in a bunch of bands
Yeah.
In college and high school, where harmony was really the thing.
Yeah.
In fact, the college band I had, college years in the late 70s, was a band called Southern Star, and Kim Ritchie. I don't know if you know Kim Ritchie.
Yeah.
Kim and I were in that band
Oh,
together.
you're kidding.
Wow.
So we go back a ways. So anyhow,
I mean, I know her. She doesn't know me.
okay.
I know Ever. Now, how did you two meet? Were you introduced?
Radney,
Yes.
we were at the same publishing company, so we were just
Oh.
hanging out. I remember summertime, and this is the story we used to tell all the time. In the summer times, both of our apartments had crappy air conditioning. so we would go into the office and just read Billboard magazine or kind of see what's going on, and that's how we. Well, hey, how you doing? You know, and we
That's
ended
really
up. We were two of the younger guys there too, at the time. So that's how we ended up writing.
How
songs
did you
together.
end up being an act together?
Well, that's a story that didn't get told much, and now that it's been 40-something years or whatever,
Wow.
there was a guy here in town named Mark Wright, who's a producer,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and Mark had seen me and another fella, a guy named Will Rambeau, who's a talented songwriter, but Will and I were doing a thing called the Ever Ready Brothers, and we would play.
I like that.
We were ever ready to open for anybody. Exactly.
What?
Yeah, Bad Jack, you're going to need that button a lot today. and we were playing somewhere, and he had this idea of calling Will and I Will Billy. And,
Will Billy.
And I knew that if we would have done something with Mark, it not necessarily would have been creatively. He would have found songs for us and kind of molded us like they do all the other.
Yeah.
Not all the other, but a lot of the other country acts. And so I kind of did an end run around Mark. No offense, Mark. But I went to a guy that I'd known.
Way to go, Bill.
and who was at RCA named Randy Goodman, who just retired from Sony.
Oh,
He was the CEO of Sony, and he just retired in December. So anyway, this is a story I didn't tell for years because it just didn't really fit the way Radney and I were promoting ourselves, but it's old now. So anyway, I played the cassette. I gave a cassette, and I said, "Here are two songs that Will and I wrote, but here are all these other songs I wrote with this other fella, Radney, and I feel like this is like a real project." And he passed the tape along to Joe Galani, who's president of RCA, and that's how that happened.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So.
That's a cool story.
Well, but then I had to talk Radney into saying, "Well, do you mind? You want to be in a duo?" You know, and there's a deal. There's a deal here waiting for us.
Oh my gosh!
So you know, and because he really had his sights on being a solo artist, but you know what? It was good for both of us. For several years.
Made great music.
Yeah, we did 3 albums and a greatest hits, and then many years later, 2012 or somewhere in there, we did a reunion record.
Oh, you
And,
did?
Yeah, which nobody knows about, but yeah, we did that.
Well, they do now.
It's called "It's Already Tomorrow," and you can go on YouTube and see videos and
Okay.
things like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's. But Radney and I we did 2 shows last year, benefit shows.
Oh, man.
So it's
Great.
we still see each other from time to time.
Is he here in Nashville still?
Kind of splitting his time between here and Texas, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in Kroger.
And so how did you hook up with, and I shouldn't use the word hook up anymore because that,
It means
As-
that. Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
That's a foul.
How did
No.
you and John Cowan with the band that you guys were in together, how did that happen?
Oh, okay. Well, after Foster Lloyd, I started doing a talent scout thing for RCA.
Oh.
And I actually could have moved to New York and actually got in the music business that way. And my son had just been born and moving a baby. And also I just did not want to leave Nashville. I love Nashville.
I do too.
And so they gave me this sort of talent scout thing to go seek out and send things to New York.
Oh, wow.
And I was doing that, but I also wanted to continue to make music, which I was. I was recording and writing and recording things. And a fella named Josh Leo, who would produced Alabama and all kinds of people. Had Restless Heart and all sorts of folks. And he was like he was head of A&R at RCA at the time. And he said, let's put together just a kind of an off project with you and Rusty Young from Poco, who, and Rusty and we'd written a song with Radney and I, and Rusty had written a song that was on the Poco reunion record. And so we, which was kind of a big deal at the time. And getting all the original members of that band back together, because they were sort of predated the Eagles and that whole country rock thing.
Yeah.
And we ended up, Rusty and I jumped at that, and we started putting the band together. And when Pat Simmons of the Doobie Brothers came in, and then John was the final piece and all that, and I'd known John. Newgrass, I've been a big fan of them forever. And they were from, Sam Bush is from Bowling Green. Right. So, I love them. And John always sang on Foster Lloyd records. He was always, I think we tried to get him on every one of our records.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so he was a good friend, and it still is.
It's amazing how widespread, how just all the people you know.
I know.
You've done.
It's like the 6 degrees of separation.
Wow.
I've heard that a lot.
Well,
Here's a Kevin Bacon.
But anyway, the Foster and Lloyd thing was just a great, exciting period. We were always up for CMA Awards in the duo category, and we were usually on the CMA Awards telecast, getting to sing with Dolly Parton or Ronnie Millsap or whoever. And we had just a really great run. And, and besides doing the state fair kind of things, which everybody does, and the honky tonks where you're a dance band and nobody cares if it's your song or not.
That's right.
They're just out there dancing in circles. We also got to play things like The Bottom Line and places in LA like Club Lingerie and all those kind of places.
Oh, wow.
So we had this sort of multi appeal to where there were sort of the hipsters that liked us.
Yeah.
As well as sort of the straight ahead country fans. But it was never enough to really push us much above Dwight Yoakam really did that well, and Steve Earle and they were, and Dwight was on Warner Brothers, and Steve and Nancy Griffith and Lyle Lovett were all on MCA, and there was a real cooperation at MCA to push those artists outside the format. And with RCA, it never really worked out for us.
Really?
To work a rock format.
So what caused you all to go your separate ways?
Just, lack of, we started getting, every time we'd release a single, it would just creep onto the charts by the end. We did something like 14 singles or something like that.
That's a lot.
And they all charted.
Yeah.
But they all charted, and the last 3 or 4 just didn't do what they, in the beginning we had a number 1 on every chart but Billboard, and it got played like a number 1 record. And then some top 5s and top 10s. But then it kind of gradually kind of shifted off. And I think Radney wanted to do his own thing. But we got to travel. We got to go to England and Switzerland and go all across Canada. Canada was always really fun.
Yeah, you had a great band too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And so after that, you were doing your own thing.
Well, I was sort of constantly doing my own thing. The first album I had came out actually before Foster and Lloyd, and it's more of a pop rock kind of thing. And I did one in '94 called Set to Pop, which actually Stereo Review Magazine Album of the Year and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I got nice critical acclaim off that, and it sold some. And since then, I was on Koch Records after that. And then everything's been really independent since then.
It's nice, though. I mean, I feel like that's where we've lived.
I think everybody at this point.
It's different now.
The music business has changed so much since those days where, you get plucked out of obscurity by
Right.
a
Yeah.
big label. I mean, these days, even if you're lucky enough to sign with a corporate entity that will promote your records, they're not always that successful
True.
at getting the word out there. Sometimes it's just to flute the right song or the right performance in the right place and
The right time.
the right time. All that stuff matters so much. So it's tough out there, but you know what? We do it because we love it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good message for anyone out there listening that's younger, that wants to have a career in music. One of the things we're hearing over and over from the different guests we've had on, that they've done lots of different things, and you find ways to highlight the things you love doing, but then you have these other things that kind of build around it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and now with social media, I mean, it's a little easier if you just keep plugging away to find people, find a new fan base. And we would have loved to have had this, back in Blue Hat Record days to, keep track of everybody. And
Yeah.
pretty cool.
And the thing is, though, even still, people want to see you live. They want to come see music. People,
Yeah.
That's a really nice thing that hasn't changed. People still really want to go hear the people they love in person. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
It's that personal connection of actually, interacting with the crowd and taking a request if it happens or whatever,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. It just solidifies that bond that music creates,
Yeah.
of between people and
Is there one stage you've been on that it was this moment you're like, wow, I always wanted to play here, or it was just like something about that stage?
yeah. Well, I mean, when Radney and I first went on the Opry
Right.
at the Ryman, my son's name was Ryman.
Oh,
by the
no way.
Yeah,
I
my-
love that.
My ex-wife and I got married on stage at the Ryman.
That's beautiful.
And that was when they had a big blue tarp over the top of the building. They were doing all this. So it just happened that it was just empty at that time. And I had a friend who made it happen for us, and we had about 50 people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But anyway, the Ryman Auditorium was a big one. But also later, there's some of the great clubs that are all over the country. In New York, the Bottom Line and Lone Star Cafe was big for us. But also in LA, the Roxy, Troubadour. Well, I didn't play Troubadour with Foster Lloyd, but I played there later. And Hollywood Bowl. I got to play the Hollywood Bowl with Cheap
Oh,
Trick
yeah.
as a sideman with Cheap Trick. And that was 2 years running.
Wow.
That's amazing.
2007, 2008.
What was it like being on there with those guys?
Crazy. I love that band for one. Playing Beatles songs with them is one thing. It's always fun to play Beatles songs, but to also play it with one of your favorite rock bands, and I was just a second guitar player, that sang some harmony and things like that. But it was super fun. Hollywood Bowl has this ascending thing. You go look up this hill, and the lights just keep going up. You can see, it's the most astounding view from the stage.
Really?
Yeah. So that's maybe
That was it?
that was that for your question. I think that might be it. So
I've only seen pictures. I've never been in there.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of videos. I think they charge a lot if you say live at the Hollywood Bowl. I think they get a piece of that. Cheap Trick was they did it 2 years in a row, and one time they did it. It was the second year. I think it was 2 days, not just 1 day, but 2 days we did it. But the guest stars were like Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins and
Wow.
Amy Mann and
Excuse me.
all sorts of cool people were part of that.
So, a ton of people. How did you meet Cheap Trick? I mean, how did that come about? Playing with them?
Tom Peterson moved to Nashville. He's the
Right.
bass player.
Right.
And I ended up meeting him through a band called Swag
Okay.
that he was a part of for a while.
Yeah.
which was Robert Reynolds and Jerry Dale McFadden from the Mavericks.
Yeah.
Ken
I know
Coomer from
Robert.
Wilco. Who else was in that band? I'm sorry, I'm blanking. But anyway, it was a cool thing. And Doug Powell, who I had written some songs with, and one of the songs we wrote was on their album, and so I got to guest on their album.
Yeah.
But that was about the time I started writing songs with Tom, and just getting to be friends. And so he was the one who brought me into the Cheap Trick thing. So I had gone into. They said the lawn players had already done Sgt. Pepper once, and they were learning it to go play it at the Hollywood Bowl with orchestra and everything. And so they just said, well, would you like to be a second guitar player, harmony singer when we'd rehearse? They weren't offering me a job. They just said, we'll pay you, just to come in and kind of rehearse with us. And I did that. And then, at the end of the first rehearsal, Robin Zander, I remember he said to me, well, you're coming with us to LA. So that was fun. So that's a lot right there.
They get excited. Hey, easy does it. He's got more stories to tell you.
So that was really a big deal for me. It was getting to work with those guys. I enjoyed that a lot.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it seems how we took a little breath in the conversation. I know I stayed up really late last night working on another episode. I need some Magic Mind. Would you like some with us, Bill?
Yes. Reclaim your brain. That's what it says.
I say this all the time. I need of course, I only take one once a week. So maybe if I drank one every day, it would help me.
All right, well, cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for coming on here.
my God.
My pleasure.
I didn't mean to hit your microphone.
Oh.
Andy?
Give me a
Oh, way over.
All right.
All right, here we
Cheers,
go.
everybody.
John said he needed a few of these, so.
Wow, that's good.
I know, it's good.
You down the whole thing?
I do.
Yeah.
And then you just let the flow state begin.
Close.
If I start talking in Portuguese, you guys can stop.
Ooh, that would be a nice selling rec. That will tell the people at Magic Mind. It always happens to me. Like, I swallow it, and then it's like it's almost coming back up, and it makes this little sound. Like, I'm possessed by Magic Mime. But Andy will hear that when he's editing the sound.
Or maybe I should have done this.
That's about it.
That's more magical.
Yeah. Well, that was good.
Yeah.
Nice after effect.
It's the matcha and the lion's mane
Oh, yeah.
and adaptogens. Yeah. You're supposed to take it every day, and then the more you take it, it's in your system. It helps you stay calm, and you don't have to drink coffee anymore. However, I do still drink coffee.
I could use that. I have 3 kids. Yikes. Stay calm and carry on.
So as far as what you're doing now, tell us a little bit kind of what your world looks like.
I am still writing songs, and that doesn't stop. Even when I try not to write songs, I'm writing songs, writing things down. Either or playing, I'll pick up a guitar and something will just happen. And I'll grab my phone and put the idea down, and and eventually I revisit these things and turn them into songs for either myself or to farm off to somebody else who might want to co-write. And then I still like playing songwriter nights, and then I play with 6 to 10 times a year with the lawn players, and then,
That's fabulous.
and then I do every couple months usually, and then private things in between, and then I have a band called the Pop Tarts that plays out at the East Side Bowl here in Nashville, up in Madison, which is like a really cool venue that has a bowling alley and about 3 different stages, and a diner and a bar and anyway. And out there we're doing my songs, but also some fun covers, rock covers. So that's kind of my world at this point.
What's your favorite Pop Tart?
Oh, I don't, the actual thing, I haven't had a real Pop Tart in years.
Me too.
But I just love the double meaning of it. Yeah.
I did too. But you know what? So this is a really funny story. I was at a tennis match and Pop Tarts, Kellogg was sponsoring it. And so Debbie's favorite, strawberry, but she would eat chocolate fudge.
Yes.
And then mine was chocolate vanilla fudge.
Yeah.
And so I said to the guy, I'm like, oh, he said, what was your favorite? I said, I grew up on Pop Tarts. And I said, chocolate vanilla fudge. And he said, there's no such thing. I said,
Liar.
I said, yes, sir. Yes, I've eaten those for half my life. And he was like, no, I've been with the company almost 30 years. We do not have it. And I was like,
But you did.
and I'm Irish. And I was like, wait, I can tell you exactly what the box looks like. And blah, blah, blah. So finally he left. He was very indignant. He's like, we were wrong. And he came back and he goes, you're right. But now we call them like they're like Oreo cookie or something. They changed the name. But he was like, I'm very sorry.
I hope you got a lifetime.
I know, you should get a lifetime Poison Pops.
Well, you know what he gave me? He gave me Kellogg's cereal bowls. So like he had these little cereal bowls that had the Snap, Crackle, Pop people on it.
Oh, yeah.
So I got those.
There was once a Raisin Bran package that had a cut from Sarah Evans' new album.
No way.
And I had the cut by Hillary Lindsay and I had a song called 430. And that was on this little CD that was on the inside of a Raisin Bran thing.
Oh, that is too funny. I used to love Raisin Bran.
Made some bank off that, let me tell you.
Yes.
Just kidding.
Hey, why not?
Yeah.
Is there a long players show on the books? Any?
Oh, yeah, we're doing coming up March 15. I don't know if this will be on after that or before that, but we're doing Steve Miller's "Fly Like an Eagle" album,
Oh, we have to come in.
and Joseph Wooten from Steve
Wooten
Miller's
Brothers.
band,
Oh, Steve Miller.
who's been with Steve for 30 years now, is going to be playing keys with us too. That'll be fun.
Where will this be?
At 3rd and Lindsley here in Nashville,
I love that
Oh, I love that
on
place.
March 15.
All right, mark your calendars, people.
Yeah. And, I just like, and I might be going to England before, right after that too, doing a songwriter festival thing over there.
That's so cool.
So-
Good thing they speak the same language. that we do.
Yeah. If they spoke Portuguese, though, I might be able to.
Oh,
break
yeah.
this.
You'll be able to do that. All your songs in Portuguese. So, I'm thinking maybe with all this playing that you've done, you might know something about gear.
You know, one of the gigs I had for about 3 years was I worked down at Country Music Hall of Fame as a stringed instrument curator. Did you guys know that?
No, I did not know
Okay,
that.
So, should we?
I'm going to say, ready?
Let's talk gear.
Yes.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, I've seen lots of pictures of you with fancy guitars. We could start there.
I have a few. I have a few nice ones, like vintage guitars. I have a '66 blonde Rickenbacker, which like Roger McGuinn from the Boobs. I've got a 59 Guild single pickup thing that I bought from Gary Talent. I've got nice black Telecaster that's the early '70s, and I've got a Les Paul from the early '70s. Those are my favorite, the best ones. One of my favorite guitars was made by a local guitar maker producer named he's a producer these days, but George Bradfute, who's a great guitar player and producer, and he also used to work at Gruen's, and he made his own guitars called Rear Views, and there's about 5 or 6 of them made, and I have one of them.
Wow.
And do you know?
No,
stuff?
I don't. What's the shape like? Or
It's called
pretty much,
it's called rear view. So it looks sort of like what a guitar might look in the rear view of your mirror,
Right.
And it kind of looks like a Vox guitar,
Right.
almost like those 5-cornered ones, but it's more contoured, and but it's like a Stratocaster in the sense that it's 3-position,
Right.
5-position switch,
3 pickups.
and 3 pickups, yeah, and it's light. And I don't know if I haven't really never opened it up, but it's such a light thing that it resonates in a way, as an electric guitar that when you go to the neck pickup, it's deep. It really has this wonderful deep tone. And so I love that guitar. That's one of my go-tos. And Tom Peterson, when I was working with Cheap Trick, one of the guitars that I kept borrowing from them to play because I really loved the way it felt was this Chandler guitar. Beautiful tiger maple with, sort of the whole bathroom fixtures on the top, and it was just a really great telly. Although it was a Chandler body, telly neck, and Tom gave me that guitar as a
Yay, Tom.
sort of a parting gift, Anyway, and I used that one a lot too, along with the other telly that I had. I've got a couple Strats, I don't have a jillion guitars, but I've got just enough where things feel cramped.
Is a jillion more than a trillion?
Yeah, I think it is. And then I've bought over the years. I got a mandolin years ago, and I've been playing mandolin for a long time. A Gibson mandolin. I bought a ukulele a few years ago, which I just wrote one song. It's on one of my records, so it served its purpose. And I have a couple basses. Let's see, it's a Fender Precision bass from the 70s. It's got flat wound strings on it, and really beautiful. I got to play that on a record of, the band Squeeze. Remember Squeeze?
Yeah,
Glenn Tilbrook from Squeeze made a record that was part in London, part here, and called it Transatlantic Ping Pong was the name of it. And he and I played bass on that project.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then I've got an acoustic bass that Gary sold me. Whatever. I bought a banjo a few years ago too, just because lawn players were doing Linda Ronstadt's. I forget which record it was. I think it was Simple Dreams. Yeah, it was Simple Dreams. And we had Dan Dugmore playing steel with us that night, and and we had all sorts of. J.D. Souther, God rest his soul, he's not with us now, but he came down and sang with us and played with us, and that was awesome. And he said we were doing his song "Faithless Love," and he goes, "There's a banjo on that," and I went. I was talking to him. I said, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Who's playing that?" Line through my teeth, I said, "Oh, I am. I've got it." And I went out and bought a banjo and learned the parts. So,
Oh my gosh!
Wow. That should get you another Magic Mind.
I know.
Yeah, if I'd had this, I would have gotten it twice as fast.
So this isn't anywhere near the same ballpark, but when I lived in Miami, my friend was teaching banjo, and he was going on vacation for a couple of weeks, and so he left me his banjo, and I ended up teaching his students for like 2 weeks. I could not play banjo at all.
It does not matter.
Did you have the finger things, Andy?
Yeah, finger picks, yeah. I don't remember if I made it past one day there, but
Sure.
When the Sky Kings were going on, Rusty Young left his steel guitar at my house in my little home studio I had at the time, and it sat in the corner and taunted me. Because because playing steel guitar is like it's like doing. I had a friend of mine say it's like trying to groove, but doing a math problem at the same time. Because that whole pat your head.
Yeah.
There's so much going on with all the pedals and knee
Say
levers.
the pedals and the
knee
Like playing
levers.
an organ.
Yeah, and then the way you bend the bar to change slightly. Yeah.
Now, is it strung like a guitar?
Pedal steel?
Yeah.
No, there's two different
tuned,
kind of main tunings, I think.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so there's
no, you got it.
No, I don't.
Oh.
It's like an E7 is one, right?
E9,
E9,
and
okay,
C6.
Yeah.
I bought two, but I could
You
never
did?
get past. That was about it.
Yeah. Well, I just got a shout out to Jim Hoke, who made his name in Nashville as a woodwinds guy, harmonica and sax and
Everything.
It's but
amazing.
he took up pedal steel about 10 to 15 years
Really?
ago,
Right.
and he's great. I can't believe. I mean, he has the mind for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of great guitar players in this town. It's just
Yeah.
it's staggering. If you go down to Lower Broad, you'll just see virtuosity on display out there.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Very incredible. So, do you have effects pedals that you love or
I do.
despise?
I just bought a new one.
Oh.
Is it Electro Harmonix? I think. Is that how you say that, Andy?
Yeah, I don't know if it's harmonics or harmonix. You might be right. I don't know.
Electro Harmonix, and they have a thing called Mellow 9.
Okay.
You know about this?
I don't.
I saw this friend of mine, Steve Wynn, who played the Basement. He's from Los Angeles, and he was in a band called Dream Syndicate. And he was playing acoustic, and I kept hearing these sometimes voices, sometimes strings.
Yeah.
Kind of start to blend in. And you remember like the first time you ever heard Bruce Hornsby, and you could hear those strings kind of mixed in with his piano. Well, it's like that, except he was playing acoustic.
Yeah.
And it's this little pedal that blends in about 9 different presets of Mellotron sounds.
Okay. Wow.
And I've already used it on one lawn player gig.
All right.
And it's pretty cool.
Yeah. You can check that out.
I was just going to say.
I'm sure Deb will have one
We
here
might
next
have
week.
to have call Robert at Sweetwater. Get one over here, stat.
Well, it's really interesting. I thought it was just a different thing. It was new to me.
Yeah.
So
Andy has one that has angels.
Yeah, I love that. All the ambient stuff. That's cool.
Furby.
nice. Who makes that?
Oh, Strymon.
Strymon.
Are you allowed to say who?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
We love
We're trying to
Strymon.
get deals everywhere.
Hey, we love gear.
We do love gear.
Well, I've talked way more about gear than I thought I could.
See,
What amp all these fine guitars going into?
Well, this is embarrassing as I get older. I just had my 69th birthday in December.
Happy
So,
birthday.
thank you. It's kind of new for me, so still trying it on. But when we did the Cheap Trick gig, Lawn Players did the At Budokan album, and I so wanted to bring my Vox AC30 out,
Right.
and I just did not want to carry it.
Absolutely.
And at this stage, so I've got a couple Blues Juniors that I can run stereo and get plenty of sound out of that.
Absolutely.
And I was just old man lazy.
No.
Well,
I don't want to hurt your
I'm
back.
sure they had really
Yeah.
good sound people. So
Yeah, there's no judging here, man.
no.
Yeah. So, but I've got several Blues Juniors that I just sort of carry around
Nice.
that are just so compact.
Yeah.
And one of them I bought from Danny Flowers. It's like this supercharged one that he had some work done. And then shout out to Todd Sharp, who makes these amplifiers. He works on other things I've got, and he supercharged another one for me.
When you say
so-
supercharged, what does that mean?
Just like adding little things inside,
people,
and elves.
elves,
Elves.
Keebler elves,
Amp
cookies,
Amp
and
elves. I like that.
Amp elves. Yeah. So, you have to fumigate them out before you start your gig.
They can be nasty.
Filled up.
sorry,
But anyway, so yeah, it's just, I'm not exactly sure what all he does.
that's cool.
Yeah, he can tell me and I'm nodding like the RCA dog.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, whatever.
My favorite thing is all the cables. Not
Yeah.
there.
There's just, if they're not quite in there, they can make that popular sound. that
Everybody-
everyone loves.
Yes.
Or
And
no
I-
sound.
Or no sound.
Yeah.
And I can hear like high frequencies really, really well. And so the littlest sound, I'm like, oh, what is that? Oh, man. Drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I heard that, Andy. Ooh, I got a shocker from my microphone.
I haven't been on the mic that close. So yeah, I could be up here like this.
Ooh,
but,
that sounds
Oh,
very
man.
like a W.
You're right.
but I've been
MOT.
back in the
We're
hinterlands.
good. We got plenty.
Okay.
Yeah. Andy, he'll fix all that.
Yep, the master of Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes us sound good.
So yeah, but for a guy who worked at the Country Music Hall of Fame as stringed instrument curator, I'm one of the least gear-oriented people.
Yeah.
you'd
Talk
ever want
about
to talk
that.
to.
I don't even know what that
was
means.
That was just an opportunity that came my way. Somebody had mentioned my name to somebody on the staff there, and I had a couple friends over there. I'll say that,
Okay.
who knew and liked me. So, but it was a little bit of a learning curve for me. I mean, I was never called upon to. I told them I was no luthier, I was no gear expert, but I do love history. I love the history of music. And I already know a little bit about the history of pop music and country music of the last 40, 50 years, and love talking about it and doing the research. And so my job when I was there was to create a new database. They'd moved from the old museum into the new one downtown.
yeah.
And there was a lot of stuff that hadn't even been looked at or touched.
Really?
Oh, wow.
So I kind of just went through their collection and made sure everything was being stored correctly. I remember changing out strings on one of Loretta Lynn's guitars and putting the old strings in a paper bag, just like these are the original strings.
Oh, wow.
But there had been rust that had been sort of coming down off the top of the strings, and had to clean all that off and make sure.
Oh, wow.
Sounds
Make
like
sure
my
it-
strings.
Yeah, I hate changing strings too.
I hate it.
It's the least favorite thing.
We know.
So
I have to get prepared for it. A shot of bourbon and get out the Band-Aids.
And a phone call.
Thimbles.
And a phone call or two.
Yeah. But anyway, I wrote some articles for the Country Music Journal when I was there.
Wow.
One on it was a Western swing guy, Spade Cooley, who went to prison for killing his wife. It was a really horrible story.
Oh, that's
But
terrible.
when he was in prison, he made these guitars. He built these guitars, and they were
Redeemed.
they're in the archive at the Country Music Hall of Fame. So I wrote an article. I wrote an article on it, and when I plugged the thing in, it shocked me. and so I thought, I can't remember if that was in the article.
Screw
or not.
him.
But anyway, I got to put my hands on some
Wow.
iconic instruments, and that was a real lucky thing. I had a bunch of Chet
cool
guitars
gig.
behind me,
I know.
behind my desk. I could take the rolling chair, roll off my desk, and go pick up a Chet guitar, and plug it in, and play. I think I've got a song on one of my records called Chet's Right Hand, comma, man. Chet's Right Hand, man. And it's very much a, Chet style thing.
Yeah.
I remember Al Anderson. That was one thing. A lot of people would come to visit me while I was working down there. So John
so
Kay
cool.
from Steppenwolf.
Oh, my gosh.
And J.D. Souther and Bonnie Raitt and Beth Chapman. All these people would come in to visit. And one time Al Anderson from NRBQ, who's one of the Songwriters of the Year or Songwriter Hall of Fame this last year. Anyway, Al came to visit, and I said, I wrote this little thing. And I played a little bit of it, and he goes, "Yeah, I can't play like him either."
Burn.
But Al's like that. But he's a great player.
Yeah, he is. He's such a cool style.
Yeah, he's just abandoned. He just doesn't let anything get in the way of a good feeling. It's just he plays with abandon. And I love that. But anyway, being down there was a real treat. And the one thing that I helped create while I was down there, I lobbied for, was this Nashville Cats program. And so even after I was no longer down there, they would still call me back sort of in an adjunct role to come do these interviews with session players, and I interviewed just about 40 different people who were from the A Team in later years. And the song title, Nashville Cats, is from Love and Spoonful.
Right.
John Sebastian, who I got to play with out in Los Angeles right at the beginning of COVID.
Oh, wow.
There was a tribute thing out there, a band called Wild Honey Orchestra, and they're very much like the Lawn Players. And there's a charity aspect to it, and they raise a lot of money for charity, but they also fly a lot of people in, and they flew me out there, and I got to do the song Nashville Cats with John Sebastian,
Yeah.
which was
wow.
exciting.
Yeah.
And that's on YouTube for you right there.
Oh,
so
definitely check that
But
out.
anyway, it was the Nashville Cast program is something I'm very proud of because I did lobby for it, and I did a lot of those programs where I interviewed a lot of great people. And
So amazing. So when you were a little kid learning, well, I'm assuming you were a little kid when you were learning guitar, but would you have ever imagined back then when you picked up your guitar for the first time, you like this would be your history? It's an amazing story.
You know what?
Amazing.
history.
it is interesting. My dad had been a drummer,
Oh, wow.
like in the swing era. So I started off playing drums, and then I had piano lessons. My mom made sure I took piano lessons. But I started playing drums in a band, like sort of dance rock band, 3 nights a week. My sophomore year in high school.
Wow.
I was not old enough to be playing these clubs, but the bass player and I were the younger guys, and these 2 college guys were
Oh, that's so
our
cool.
bandmates, and we would come into school on a Friday morning, smelling like cigarette smoke, just kind of like, and,
Like rock stars.
well, it's just like, what's up with those guys? But anyway, it was. I got an early start to
Wow.
looking at music as being as a profession, and I kept going to college. I went to college after high school, and when I finally kind of like took a break from college, I was like, I should go back. My grandmother kept saying, "No, you need to go back." But I remember going to see 1978. I remember going back, coming down to Nashville, and then Louisville a week later to see Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, and they were having such fun on stage, and there was such a amazing feeling to it. I said, if they can do that night after night, I can't not try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just knew if I didn't keep trying, I'd have to. So I've been very lucky. But I've been kind of single-minded, starting at a young age. That's what I wanted to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's luck and it's perseverance and it's all that kind of stuff. And the world is a very different place now than it was. So I'm not saying that voila, that's going to happen to anybody else. That just happens to be my story. But
Yeah. It's an amazing story. The nice thing is now, though, I will say, because we grew up playing in bars or whatever, people don't smoke anymore in the bars.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice. We used to, have to do a nose irrigation.
Yes. And we used to play every Wednesday night at Tootsie's. And
oh yeah,
yes.
yeah, I love
and
it.
they would sometimes we'd play in the back and they'd let guys come in and smoke cigars. And they would stand right at the stage.
Right.
And as a singer, like it would feel like razor blades down your
Yeah.
throat,
Oh, yeah.
smelling in that smoke. So I was super happy when we didn't have to play in front of
Drum-
nothing against cigar smokers,
Yeah.
but just saying,
Stand in the back.
don't blow your smoke in a singer's face.
My last
Good
year of high school, I smelled like that going into homeroom. Well, different kind of different smoke smell.
Oh.
Whatever could he be speaking of?
those jazz cigarettes.
Clove.
That clove, I hate that smell. I really do. I don't
Me
like it.
both.
As a singer, dry ice is really bad for your voice too.
Yes. See, I've told people on the sound stages, like, don't play that stuff in front. But I am a Haze fan.
I was going to say, what are you saying?
No,
Don't be telling stories. You
it's
love all
true.
that fog.
I do, but it gets into your throat. Now, the hazer isn't as bad as the fog. It's different stuff.
Yeah, we've done
Yes.
me as part our own videos and little
Yeah,
shows.
you
Deb
do it
is like
yourself.
big on the hazer and the snow machine and any
High tech,
device.
And my children, she puts them in charge of it. She
Yeah.
goes, the more, the better. Okay, Auntie Deb.
It did backfire on me though. So her son and daughter, they're twins, and so we take them a lot to help us out because we decided after all these years, we're like, we're just going to do it ourselves. Like we're just going to do it ourselves, and we have
might
more fun.
Get what we want.
Yeah, but we've had to learn a lot. I mean, just like the podcast, we're like, well, let's do a podcast, and But anyways, we wanted to do a Christmas song we had recorded. We wanted to do a little music video for it. So good friend of Julie's let us use this really old church. And so I'm like, all right, Kirkland, I just want you to like create this scene of haze, like at the end of the video. We're going to look like we're going to heaven. What do you think? And he's like, I got this, Auntie. So we were struggling with the hazer to get the smoke. All of a sudden, when I got the footage back, I mean, it is so funny because she was on the end. So it almost looked on purpose like she is completely covered in haze. We can't even see her.
It's like, whoa, where'd she go? Where'd she go?
And it's just Andy and I standing there with like some fog on us. So it was pretty funny. When we looked at the footage, we're like, that's a lot of fog. Maybe not as much next time. So
Well, I mean, did it get fixed later or no?
no, we went with it.
We don't need her. Just get rid of her. Go, shoot.
But we did cut that scene out. Like,
Did
we
you
had
see
some-
the movie Almost Famous?
Yes.
It's like the T-shirt. Well, I'm just one of the out of focus guys.
Oh, well.
Oh yeah, no, but it's this when you were telling your story. One of the things I've been want my kids to play instruments. They're athletes; they like to play, and I always think the great thing having someone to play with when you're young that keeps you hooked into like I get why I'm in my room practicing by myself because it's so much fun playing with friends. And Kirkland got to play with one of his little buddies. And I went over to his house for hours. They practiced. He taught him how to play bass, and he plays guitar. And I just thought, yes, see, this is fun. He was like, Mom, it was so much fun. I'm like, see?
Good.
Because they can't play with each other because they fight. So that's
But you know, just the joy of it.
It is joyful.
You know, even if you don't choose to use musical talent as a career thing, you know, just there's a joy in it. And,
and you're never bored.
Yeah.
Never. Like,
No, it's been. I feel very lucky to have had music in my life, all of it.
Well, we feel very lucky that you came on today.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
yeah.
No, it was
Much-
really
much
wonderful
appreciated.
to get to meet you and hear your stories.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I learned so much, man. I had no idea.
I know.
Well, it's you know, it's like all these opportunities come up in life, and you don't. I tend to take most of them. You know.
Yeah.
It's like that old Jim Carrey movie, Yes Man. I don't know if you ever seen it.
Yeah.
Where, if you just say yes, try to go move positive, you know, and try to embrace whatever life throws at you. And you know, so there was a lot of left turns for me. I never thought country music was going to be my thing.
Wow.
But that ended up being the real entree into the music business, you know. And
Well, and I feel like you paved the way for a lot of people.
well,
also.
it's just the combination of styles that Radney and I had together
Yeah.
was a nice. The fact that it worked is just surprising to me, you know, but people, it was a little different, and you know, people wrote about it, and we had good press on our side. I mean, there's a lot of bands that couldn't get in Rolling Stone magazine, but we got a Rolling Stone review for our first album.
Wow.
I mean, that was the kind of thing that was happening for us. That you know, it's just I look back now and go, wow, you know,
That's a big deal.
yeah.
Yeah.
So.
So anything else you would like to promote or talk
Let me see.
about?
Well, you know what? I had an album come out about a year ago called "Look Into It."
Oh.
And if you want to go look into it, it's there's a couple couple videos on YouTube, and I have my own YouTube channel, and then, like I said earlier, BillLloydMusic.net has links to all that stuff.
It's fabulous.
Do you
So-
record at your house? How do you like to record your music?
I used to, and then that flood that we had,
Oh.
I had about an inch and a half of water in my home studio.
Oh no.
And in my garage. So I have not had a home studio since then. I just go to my friends' houses,
Nice.
and I'd rather, and plus that gives you someone to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I piece together records. I write songs, record piecemeal until I finally feel like I have enough songs that kind of fit something. That's how I make my records. And I've made a bunch of them over the years. I think Look Into It was like the 12th
Wow.
new one, And then there have been some other little side projects in there. I was part of a band that was on a label called Blue Elan, and I was until about August of last year, when first another guy left, and then I left a couple months after he did. But it was called Cimarron 615.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was a sort of offshoot of all of us having worked with Rusty Young from Poco.
Oh, wow.
And so we made one record for Blue Elan. So I've got a couple songs on that I'm proud of. But I think they've already moved on to where they're making a second album without me and the other fella. So.
Now, is there some song that you wrote that you sit back and go, yep, that's still my favorite song I ever wrote?
Oh, I can't do
hard.
that. That's too tough.
Too tough.
They're like
Too
all
tough.
your babies. Pick one of your favorite children. Oh, no.
You know what? There's a song that has had a surprisingly long life for me. A song called "Cool and Gone," about being a music fan.
Oh.
And it says, "How can anything so strong be so cool and then be gone?" And it's about listening to other people's music and how it somehow fades away. And I did a version of it on a record around 1996, 7, somewhere in there. But a friend of mine named Jeff Foskett, who's sadly no longer with us, but Jeffrey played with the Beach Boys and with Brian Wilson's solo band. He was sort of Brian's band leader. And he made a record of Cool and Gone. And Bruce, during the COVID year or two, Bruce Springsteen had a podcast called From My House to Yours or something similar to that.
Did not know that.
And he would play other people's records, and he played Jeffrey's version of my song. Cool.
Oh, that's
And
really cool.
so
We might need a sound for that.
Yeah.
Yes. And the fans go wild.
So, yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
So hearing Bruce say my name on his podcast was exciting.
Yeah.
Because he name checked me for having written the song.
That's so cool.
It wasn't my version, but it was Jeffrey's version of the song.
Yeah.
But that song went back into the set. You can whenever I play Songwriter next, because it's a good story.
It's a great story.
As a guitar player, let me just say, there are tons of people that play rings around me, but I think the only thing I can kind of bring to the table is that I write parts.
Yeah,
I'm a songwriter who writes parts, and I play well enough to write the kind of part that I can make myself sound good at. And so if you have the patience for me to find the right part, then I'm a good guy to have on your team. But otherwise, if you need somebody who's going to do 4 songs with you in 3 hours, I'm probably not that guy.
Me either.
Yeah.
But you sing great too.
Yeah.
So,
He got it all. He got all the pedals.
Yeah.
He's got the parts. He's got the voice.
But the parts is really where my strength is in terms of playing guitar.
yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Andy likes to make parts for us to play.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I meant to bring this up when Jeff was on. I used to think, okay, need a good tone. I'd always be like, all right, I like my tone. I think the tone is good, but it's the part. You got to have the part, man. They can fix your tone these days. The part is more important.
Parts are parts.
Yes.
Can I plug somebody real quick?
Yeah.
Always.
One guy that I've been working with a whole lot over the last 10 years, and maybe even longer, is a fellow named Jonathan Bright. And Jonathan is a rocker from here in Nashville, was in different bands when we were all playing the clubs before Foster Lloyd, and during. But he plays with Willie Nelson's granddaughter, Raylyn Nelson. Wow. And they have a really cool thing where Raylyn's this beautiful girl who, like a yoga instructor, really fit, wears short skirts and boots and plays a ukulele and just
yeah.
really sweet.
I've seen it.
And then the band behind her is like the Ramones, like
Wow.
I love that.
And JB writes the songs with her and produces the records.
Right.
And he's really gifted, and they've got such a cool vibe, and it's so different than you'd think about Willie Nelson,
Right.
But she's his granddaughter. So anyway, they get a lot of work based on that, and they make really cool records.
Yeah.
And he's got a Pro Tools shack that I go. That's where I work a lot these days, and he's the guy I bounce a lot of things off of. So if a lot of the time I'll just know what I want, and he can just dial it in so quick.
Yeah.
And he's a gifted guy himself. He plays,
great.
and he's in the Pop Tarts as well. So
Well, if he would like to be on the podcast, we would love to have him.
okay,
Right. Man, so eclectic, Bill.
I know.
This has been an amazing morning with you.
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, on that note, I'm sad to say.
Don't do it.
I know. That's all we have for today. I want to thank Bill for coming and being on our show. It was
Yes,
so
Bill.
awesome.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you for
And,
letting me shoot my mouth off.
No, we loved it. We wanted to hear more. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thanks so much for tuning in.
And if you have any questions for us or something you'd like us to talk about, comment below.
And until next time,
Don't you worry about it.